5 years later, the airport was loud, crowded, and unforgiving. Wyan stood near the immigration counter, her patience hanging by a thin thread, one hand tightly gripping two small ones. Her hair was tied in a messy bun, eyes tired, face pale but sharp with anger. No one would ever guess she was a mother of two, and that was exactly the problem. The officer frowned at her documents. "Officer, ma'am, we need proof." "You can't just travel with children like this," Wyan scoffed, already exhausted. "Wyan, these are my kids. What is your problem?" The officer didn't flinch. "Officer, we need proper proof." Wyan slammed the folder on the counter. "Wyan, what proof? How?" "I am Lee Wyan, and these are my sons, Lee Taehyung and Lee Taemin. What else do you want?" The officer flipped the pages slowly, then paused. "Officer, father's name, why?" Anne's jaw tightened. "Wyan, they don't have a father." The officer looked up sharply. "Officer, so you downloaded them from the internet?" Wyan's eyes flashed. "Wyan, excuse me." "I gave birth to them after 19 hours of labor." The officer's tone turned serious. "Officer, then where did you kidnap them from?" Wyan rolled her eyes, clearly done with this nonsense. She bent down slightly and looked at her sons. "Wyan, babies, who is your mama?" Both boys answered instantly. "Taehyung and Taemin, you." Wyan nodded once and looked back at the officer. "Wyan, name." Taemin tilted his head innocently. "Taemin, mommy." Taehyung sighed dramatically. "Taehyung, Ace." "Dumbo, her name is Wyan. Lee Wyan." Wyan gave the officer a look that screamed, "Try me again." The officer wasn't impressed. "Officer, you might have brainwashed them." Wyan clenched her jaw so hard it hurt. "Wyan, I showed you their birth certificates." "Officer, there is no father's name." Wyan was starving. The kids were starving. Her head was pounding. Taemin tugged her sleeve. "Taemin, mama, I'm hungry." Taehyung nodded. "Taehyung, food?" Wyan swallowed. She didn't have money to waste on airport food. "Wyan, plain food. We'll eat on the plane." They kept whining. Wyan snapped without meaning to. "Wyan, no more food drama, or I'll throw you both in the dustbin." A newlywed couple nearby froze, watching the scene with suspicion. Whispering to each other, they quietly walked toward another officer. Minutes later, the tension thickened. The officer stepped forward. "Officer, ma'am, we may need to take the children for verification." Wyan's body went rigid. "Wyan, touch them, and I'll chop your hand off." Her shout drew attention. People turned. Whispers spread. And then, a man stopped walking, tall, broad-shouldered, handsome in a way that made heads turn without effort. His eyes widened as the voice hit him. This voice, Wyan, his heartbeat spiked. He turned fully. There she was, 5 years later, more beautiful. A little thinner, anger sitting naturally on her face like it belonged there. And to kids, his gaze dropped to the boys holding her hands. Everything clicked. The officer spoke again. "Officer, Mom, if you don't cooperate, we may have to arrest you." Wyan gasped. "Wyan, what? Why?" "Officer, who is the father?" Wyan opened her mouth. "Wyan, I told." She was cut off by a deep, husky voice. "Taehyung, I am." Every head turned. The man stepped forward calmly. "Taehyung, KIMTAEHYUNG." He extended his hand. The officer shook it instantly. "Officer, sir, your wife is very stubborn." "We kept asking." Taehyung glanced at Wyan, his eyes dark, intense. She stared back, frozen, shock written all over her face. "Taehyung, I apologize. We had a small argument." "So she is underscore." The officer sighed. "Officer, no worries, sir." And just like that, they were dismissed. Taehyung looked at Wyan, then at the kids, then back at her. Wyan quickly grabbed her son's hands and turned away. "Wyan, I have a flight." Taehyung's voice dropped. "Taehyung, take one more step. Cold, final." Widen stopped instantly. She knew this tone. She loved him. But when Kim Taehyung was angry, he was doomed. Taehyung crouched slightly. Taehyung, hello, kids. Taemin smiled brightly. Taemin, hi. Taehyung glared. Taehyung chuckled softly and lifted Taemin up before Widen could stop him. Why then? Taehyung, one glare from him shut her up. He kissed Taemin's cheek. The boy blushed. Taehyung rolled his eyes. Taehyung grabbed Widen's hand firmly. Taehyung, let's go. Widen shook her head. Widen, no, I will. She stopped again at his look. One of his hands held Taehyung's. The other held hers. Kim Taehyung led them out of the airport toward the parking lot. And Widen knew her past had finally caught her. The cool night air hit Widen's face as Taehyung's driver brought the car back around. The black sedan stopped right in front of them. Taehyung, kids, sit inside. Taehyung and Taemin looked at their mother at the same time, waiting. Widen nodded softly. Go, she said. Both kids quickly climbed into the back seat. Taehyung closed the door gently then, in the next second, his palm pressed against the car beside her head. Widen was trapped. Her back hit the cold metal, her heart slamming violently against her chest. Taehyung, so, wifey, his voice was low, dangerous. What should we talk about first? Your runaway, our kids, or Widen, my kids, he froze. Taehyung, what, Widen, they are my kids. Only mine, a sharp, dark smile tugged at his lips. Taehyung, really, he leaned closer. Then tell me. How did you make them? Widen, in my womb, Taehyung. In your womb there were only eggs. His voice dropped. So where did the sperm come from? Her breath hitched. Widen, not your business. His hand tightened beside her face. Taehyung, my business. He leaned even closer. If not mine, then whose business? Her heartbeat went wild. Widen, didn't you have kids with that Minji Kinji whatever? His jaw clenched. Taehyung, why would I have kids with her? Widen, you were dying to marry. I thought you'd have 3 or 4 kids by now. His eyes softened for just a second. Taehyung, I do. A pause. 2, and both are with you. Her chest burned. Widen, go away, Taehyung. Never. His lips brushed hers, barely touching. Widen, I'm hungry. A dangerous smile curved on his face. Taehyung, so am I. Her eyes widened. They were not talking about the same hunger. Widen, Taehyung, the kids. He stared into her eyes for a long second, then stepped back. Silence. He opened the back door. Sit, she obeyed. Taehyung got into the front passenger seat. Taehyung, restaurant, the car moved. Inside the car, Taehyung, Mommy, you warned us not to talk to strangers. Widen swallowed. Widen, yes, baby Taehyung, then why are you talking to him? Taehyung's eyes widened slightly in the mirror. Widen cleared her throat. Widen, he's an old friend. Taehyung turned back sharply and glared at her. She pretended not to notice. Inside his chest, something shattered. Taehyung thought, she hid my kids, left the house, erased me from their lives. 5 years. I searched for her like a madman. And here she was, with his children, calling him an old friend. His jaw tightened, pain mixed with anger. But one thing was clear. He wasn't letting her disappear again. The 4 of them were seated at a quiet corner table. Soft lights, warm atmosphere to warm for Widen's restless heart. The waiter handed over the menus. Taehyung didn't even look at it. He passed both menus to the kids instead. Taehyung, order anything you want. Taemin blinked at the menu, then slowly pouted. Taehyung frowned seriously. Taehyung, we only eat homemade food. He looked at his mother. Mommy never lets us eat outside. Taehyung's eyes shifted to Widen. She looked away, embarrassed, her fingers tightening around her bag. Both kids nodded immediately, satisfied. Taehyung let out a small breath, then looked at the waiter. Taehyung, japsi, bulgogi, bibimbap, fried chicken, tteokbokki, and kimchi fried rice. All of them. Every single dish her favorites. Widen stiffened. The waiter nodded politely and walked away. Silence fell between them. Taemin swung his legs under the table. Taemin, uncle. You know mommy's favorite food. Taehyung's gaze never left why. And Taehyung, I know everything about your mommy. Her throat tightened. Taehyung narrowed his eyes. Taehyung, then why were you not with her? The question hit like a knife. YN's head snapped up. YN, Taehyung raised his hand slightly. Taehyung, it's okay. He leaned back, eyes dark but calm. Taehyung, because sometimes adults make mistakes. YN laughed bitterly. YN, some mistakes destroy lives. Their eyes locked. The air between them grew heavy, filled with years of pain, love, anger, and words never said. Taehyung spoke quietly. Taehyung, and some mistakes deserve a second chance. YN looked away, but her hands were shaking. Taemin suddenly looked up from the table, his innocent eyes moving between the two adults. Taemin, mommy, who is this uncle? YN froze. Her fingers tightened around her glass. Taehyung flinched at the word uncle. Uncle. Not appa, not dad. Just uncle. YN noticed it the way his jaw clenched, the hurt flashing in his eyes before he could hide it. Taehyung let out a slow breath and leaned forward. His voice was calm, but heavy. Taehyung, I'm your dad. Both kids blinked. Confused. Taehyung tilted his head. Taemin, but mommy said daddy is in heaven. He smiled softly. He went to God. Taehyung's world stopped. His eyes widened as he turned slowly toward YN. She couldn't meet his gaze. She wished the ground would open and swallow her whole. Taehyung, you killed me. His voice was low, stunned. An alive man? The kids looked between them, more confused now. YN swallowed hard. YN, I was angry. Her voice shook. They kept asking, So? It went out in heat. Taehyung leaned back in his chair and ran a hand through his hair. He wanted to bang his head against the wall, hard. 5 years. 5 years of searching, suffering, losing his mind, and she had buried him alive. He laughed once, dry, painful. Taehyung, wow. He looked at the kids again. His kids, alive, right in front of him. And then back at her. Taehyung, you didn't just leave me. YN, his eyes darkened. You erased me. The food arrived at that exact moment. The waiter placed the dishes, unaware that a man's entire world had just shattered at that table. Taemin tugged YN's sleeve. Taemin, mommy, daddy is alive. YN closed her eyes. Tears burned behind them. She nodded slowly. YN, yes, baby, he is. Taehyung watched his son smile, and for the first time in 5 years he felt pain. And hope. At the same time. Taehyung frowned deeply, his little brows pulling together as he looked up at YN. Taehyung, so, he is our dad. YN's lips parted, but no sound came out. She swallowed. YN, Taehyung's eyes darkened with hurt. Taehyung, mommy, you lied. Taemin's eyes widened in shock. He turned to her quickly, panic creeping into his voice. Taemin, but mommy says bad people lie. He hesitated, then whispered, Mommy, are you bad? The words hit her harder than any slap ever could. And went completely speechless. She had raised them on truth. She had taught them never to lie. And yet, she had built their entire world on one. Shame burned in her chest. Taemin, can I call you daddy? Taehyung's heart clenched. He didn't rush it, didn't force it. Taehyung, whatever feels best for you. Taemin smiled a bright, pure smile. Taemin, daddy, can I eat in your lap? Taehyung smiled softly. Taehyung, of course. Taemin didn't wait another second. He climbed out of his chair and hurried over, settling himself comfortably in Taehyung's lap. Taehyung wrapped an arm around him instinctively, like his body had been waiting 5 years to do exactly that. Taehyung stayed where he was, arms crossed, face grumpy. Watching everything with sharp, assessing eyes, Taehyung noticed, and for a brief second, a thought crossed his mind, just like his mother. Stubborn, protective, hurt easily. He glanced at Won again. Time skip. They finished their meal in uneasy silence. The kids were full and sleepy, Timon half leaning against Taehyung while Taehyung sat close to Won, still guarded, still watching. The plates were cleared, the warmth of food fading, replaced by something heavier. Taehyung broke the silence first. Taehyung, I'll take you home. Won's expression hardened instantly. Won, I will never return to that house. The anger in her voice wasn't loud, but it was sharp final. Taehyung closed his eyes briefly and sighed, forcing himself to stay calm. Taehyung, fine, then I'll drop you at your place. Won inhaled slowly, her fingers curling into the fabric of her sleeve. Won, we don't have one. Taehyung frowned, confused. Taehyung, what do you mean? Her voice dropped. Won, I sold everything. She scratched the back of her neck, a nervous habit. And I gave the keys back to the landlord. The words hit him all at once. Taehyung, you were running away. Won looked away. Taehyung felt anger rush up his spine, but he forced it down. He had learned the hard way what losing control cost. Won, don't worry. I'll manage, he laughed once, humorless. Taehyung, no, she turned to him sharply. Taehyung, I'll take you to a hotel for now. I'll arrange a house to take time. He paused, then added calmly, till then, you'll stay at the hotel. With the kids, Won's jaw tightened. Won, that was never my house anyway. Taehyung didn't argue.